Welcome to Two Dudes Talking. I'm DJ Schroep. That's Dustin Ovitz.
Sup?
All right, let's get into it. We got a couple fights starting Friday. I'm wearing some of my old gear from my days at Bellator, but Benson Henderson, Michael Chandler, bringing Bellator back to the center stage on the Paramount Network.
Heck yeah.
I'm stoked. I'm psyched. I mean, I don't know how much consequence these guys have in the realm of the MMA space, but these are two entertaining fighters and two guys with hearts of gold. Really, look, if you're going to pick off a personality, it's really hard because both of them are basically men of a higher power, and they are just good dudes. They're just good dudes. They walk the walk, and they talk the talk. So they're all of that. But yeah, I mean, look, the way I see it is Michael Chandler has a big chip on his shoulder. He feels he has a lot to prove, and when he's in the ring, it's not an octagon in Bellator, it's a ring. It's fireworks. I mean, that guy puts it all on the line. Benson Henderson, on the other hand, a little bit of he takes a minute to get going, and he stretches things out to a decision, right? Which is ultimately why the UFC didn't want to keep him around, because he was, I mean, quote unquote, a boring fighter. And forever his biggest highlight is that crazy kick from Pettis off of the
Showtime kick.
Yeah, the Showtime kick. So I mean, this one's a tough one. I mean, what do you think about the fight?
Yeah, I mean, they fought previously, and I think it was a decision for Chandler. So,
yep.
But I agree with you. They're everything I've read about them, everything you either know or have read about them, they're both good dudes. So it's definitely hard to pick against one of them. I have a soft spot for Benson because I do from his UFC/WEC days. So in some regard, I will be rooting for him, but truthfully, I'm just rooting for a great fight. I think both these guys can go the distance. Obviously, as you said, Benson is notorious, or rather known, at least in UFC circles, for taking fights to a decision and leaving it in the hands of the judges, which is never a good idea, as we've learned over and over, especially recently. But yeah, look, this is a coin flip fight. Either guy could win. They could knock each other out. They could submit each other. Based on their game and based on their longevity in the sport, I actually see it staying on the feet. I don't see them trying to go to ground and pound. I maybe see a takedown or two, but it's one of those, you take them down, they pop right back up type takedowns. It's like, okay, there's a point, moving on.
Yeah, I mean, I think that the smart thing to do would be on either guy's end. I don't know if Chandler wants to take Benson down. Let me take that back. Benson is a really, really, really good jiu-jitsu fighter. Really good. He takes that with great pride. Chandler is a swing, knock him out kind of guy. He wants to taste blood in his mouth, and he wants to, bite down on his mouth guard and move forward. That's what he wants to do. I see Benson trying to take him down because he doesn't want to get KO'd.
Right.
So I think I actually think it's going to be an interesting. It's almost like an American fighter taking on a Brazilian. That's how. But I don't know if is Bendo going to be dancing around doing that thing he does, flipping his hair, just trying to kick, keep Chandler at distance. Because I could totally see that playing out. Just kick, circle. Few jabs here and there, and then here's just Chandler wanting to wail. That's the fight I see. I see it going the distance too. And then, man, I mean, who wins on points? Benson. I think Benson would win on points all day long because he's really good at tactically doing a kickboxing match.
Yeah, no, I think you're correct. If it comes down to the judges, Benson has a little bit more experience than Chandler. I think he'll outpoint him, be it takedowns, be it takedown defense, takedown attempts, whatever you want to do, just strikes thrown or landed, significant or not. I don't think judges really care anymore. I mean, at least based on past Bellators and UFCs we've seen, like guys are almost, or girls for that matter, are almost knocked out. They get back up and then outstrike the person for the next 2, 3, 4, 5, whatever it is, rounds, and all of a sudden they win. And it's like, whoa, wait a second. That person was almost knocked out. And what the hell? Like, that person was 10 seconds away from losing that fight if not for the bell. And all of a sudden you're giving it to them. But hey, you know what? I'm glad in many fights I'm not a judge. I think this fight is going to be one of those fights where I'm glad I'm not a judge having to judge it, because if it's a war, if it's a stand-up boxing match, even if there's a few takedowns, as you said, Chandler's fights don't start until somebody's bleeding. It could be a 3 or 5 round, however the hell long they're going, just insanity, where it could turn into a slugfest.
Yeah, I mean, look, I could see a Chandler's, second round KO, and then I could see it going the distance, going 3 rounds with Benson outpointing Chandler. But gun to my head, if I had to pick, oh man, this is a tough one to me. Like you said, it's a coin flip.
Yeah.
But I'm going Benson, unanimous decision.
Really? I agree with you on Benson. I'm going to go split decision. I think
decision.
It's going to be a round or maybe 2 that's either a debatable round and some judge is going to give it for Chandler, or it's just going to be a round where Chandler got the best of Benson, maybe almost knocked him out, almost ended the fight, but Benson survived it, got back up, or, whatever, defended well enough to survive the round, however, that happens. Mm-hmm. And then it continues. So I'll take split decision. I would take Benson 3 or 4 rounds to 3-2 or 4-2. I wouldn't be, but again, like you said, I would not be surprised if Chandler, who throws bombs, once he catches somebody, forget it, it's over.
Yeah. Transitioning, away from, there's one more interesting.
One more fight.
One more fight that I want to talk about. I mean, my boy Matt Mitrione fighting Tim Johnson.
Yep.
Look, no disrespect to Tim Johnson, but this is a gifted W for Matt. Matt's going to go in there, take care of business, and go home with an easy paycheck. Let's call it for what it is. The heavyweight division at Bellator is super depleted. There is no look when you have Darth Bader as your champ in that division, and he has a champ. I mean, come on, dog. I mean, that's disgraceful to me. And he's a Sun Devil. So, and I
didn't know that.
Is. I can't speak too poorly of him. It's not his fault that the division's depleted. It's not his default.
He's fighting who they put in front of him, so I don't blame Bader at all. They fight him too.
They set up that heavyweight Grand Prix tourney. Yeah. I mean, it was almost gifted for a couple other guys, maybe a Matt Mitrione.
Well, that's what I think they're setting up.
And look, they didn't get it to him the first time.
They're going to try.
They're going to try to get it to him. Look, I had the pleasure of when we first signed Matt working at Bellator, and he's nothing but aces. I traveled with him back to his home state of Indiana, and got to know him and his fam and his training camp. And he's a good guy. He deserves all of it, and hopefully he can get a belt eventually. But Bader is scary in even in that division. I don't think he could do the same thing in the UFC, but in Bellator, he can hold on to that belt a couple defenses. Yeah. Transition to
before we transition, I just noticed that Mitrione is over 40. When the hell did that happen?
Yeah. Yeah, and then, you blink your eyes, a lot of these guys are older.
What the crap? And then Johnson's 35. I didn't realize there was that big of an age difference.
Yeah.
And then Bader's 37. They need some fresh blood.
Well, look, we know what happens at Bellator, right? They sign guys that the UFC doesn't want anymore. They bring them in, and they refresh their lineup. But anyway, so speaking of the UFC, there's UFC Fight Night. There's Lewis versus Oleinik.
The Mad Russian or whatever.
Yeah, that is a fun fight for me. the Bama Beast is exciting to watch.
Is he the Bama Beast still? I thought he changed that to something else.
I don't know. Whatever the hell he wants to call himself. He's Derrick. His mom call him Derrick. I'm going to call him Derrick. So, but look, he's super fun. He's had a few hiccups in the last few fights.
Yep.
I think that they're setting up the next level of heavyweights after, the top, what are the next, the 5 through 10s, who are they? And I think that these guys are interesting in that space. The guy who loses, could find himself kind of having to really, really work himself out of.
Okay, let's play that. Let's play that game.
Yeah,
let's do that. The loser of this fight, who do they then fight? Who's the next fight for the loser? Because here's the thing. The winner of this fight is not getting bazookas. The winner of this fight is not getting Stipe. The winner of this fight is not getting DC. You have to figure DC or Stipe is probably going to retire after their fight in whatever the hell it is. And bazookas should absolutely be waiting for a title shot. There should be no other fight that guy has that is not a title shot. If you don't know who bazookas is, it's Ngannou. We call him bazookas because everything he throws is beyond destructive. And he's also jacked.
I could see a Curtis Blades and Derrick Lewis.
You think the winner of this gets Blades?
I don't know.
It has to be Lewis.
It has to be. Because Lewis is ranked 4, Blades is 3. So
okay, fine. Lewis wins. He faces Blades. What about the Mad Russian or whatever the hell he's boa constrictor, who's like 92-12, by the way, or something ridiculous.
Rosenstruck. I'm just going through the list. I don't even know who's already fought who. So that's taking that out. Sorry guys, I'm not a fucking encyclopedia of UFC fights. I may know a lot about this shit.
Wait a second.
But I don't know.
Back up the truck. UFC 32, was that Matt Hughes versus Carlos Newton, or 36, whatever? Their backwards were kind of an encyclopedia, but since then there's been about 1,000 fights. The encyclopedic knowledge died right there.
But you know what?
34, 6, whatever number that was, back, good.
I look, the way I look at it, it's I don't see why you wouldn't run fights back. I don't give a shit. Keep running them back. If you have a top 10, right? Let them all fight each other and keep fighting each other until things start to shake out and make a lot more sense.
Well, that's actually an interesting idea.
Right?
With that, you could do, I'm making up, I don't know if they fought because I'm not looking it up. So let's say Derrick Lewis wins this fight. He hasn't fought Blades before, right? No, I'm assuming not.
I don't believe so.
Hasn't. So, okay, let's say he hasn't. So you're saying, hypothetically, they have a 2 or 3 fight deal. This is an interesting idea. You do kind of a round robin type situation. So he fights him 2 or 3 times. It's basically the best of 3.
Mm-hmm.
So if you beat him once, that's great. You beat him again, then you move on. There's no third fight. If you lose and you're 1-1 against the guy, you fight him again, and that winner moves up or over or whatever. But then you have the bazookas who there's no way that's going to happen. Because
I guess indirectly that's what I'm suggesting is the guys that are 4 and below. You just let them kind of round robin in and keep fighting each other until some cream rises to the top. Why wouldn't you? And if you're a fighter, you just want to keep fighting anyway. As long as you don't have a medical suspension, you just want to keep fighting. And it's you know what? I may have beat this guy 2 times, but there's no one else to fight above me. I got to keep fighting. The opportunities aren't there. I got to keep fighting.
Like that paycheck.
And you know what? That's when you get these these cans that get thrown in front of these dudes. They try to sell he's number 12 in the world, but he's got a big right hand. Let him fight Curtis Blades. Right, a smoker. For sure. So, I would say throw all that stuff out. Do what Bellator does. Do some mini tourneys. Shake it up a little bit. And see kind of what falls through, right? Contender series style. But
Contender series.
Yeah.
There have been some great fights on Contender series.
Yeah.
It's amazing.
There have been.
If y'all haven't watched Contender series, y'all need to go back and watch it. It's legitimately amazing to watch. Like there's
Yeah,
because they want the contract. Those guys are like, I have to go out and win. There's no like, I'm gonna wait for a decision. No.
Yeah. And
Most
then
of those guys and girls are like, I have to win this fight. I have to put this guy or girl away. It's great.
And the only other fight that that to me is interesting on this card as well is Chris Weidman and Omari Akhmedov.
That's going to be a grappling war. I'm just telling you.
Yeah, I like these last two fights because it feels like, Russia or USSR, I guess you can say, versus US. I like this kind of setup, right? I think you can't get any more American than both Derrick Lewis and Chris Weidman, for sure.
Yeah.
Well, unless you're Brian Stan. So, hey, look, no, he's, but anyway, so he's an All-American. So anyway, I mean, these guys are Captain Americas, right? I feel like they're, I like that, old world versus new world stuff. I think that, you have Sambo fighters and you have traditional MMA athletes on the other side. Chris Weidman's kind of got to get things worked out and figured out. This is the fight to do it and get back on a nice winning streak and maybe work his way back into a title shot.
Oh, no, I agree with you. Although he's 36. I mean, again, he needs some fresh blood.
Yeah.
How old is unrelated? Well, semi-related, I guess. How old is Bones?
I don't know. Well, I mean, hold on. I'll tell you in 2 seconds if they even left. Light heavyweight. Let's see. Bones. He's 33. And he's still pretty young.
He's still pretty young, but still, there's no you know what they need, truthfully? They need like a 21-year-old just to come in and wreck shit.
But they thought they had that in a few different fighters, and it didn't work out, right? Like they put some weight
GSP
behind,
clone,
right? But they put some stuff behind Sage Northcutt, who didn't quite work out.
That's the one that's the GSP clone.
Yeah, I mean they're hoping that they find that guy. He hasn't been found yet. And I think they're trying to make the fight, the UFC a little bit more international. But the problem with that is Americans don't want to see a foreign champ, and they don't necessarily root for, foreign fighters. They want to root for their own and American fighters. And, so I think that we're hard pressed right now in that. But transitioning that, I mean, Dana White.
I will comment.
Yeah. No. There's nothing but love today on this.
Lies. You want his job? Not that I blame you.
Nothing but love.
I would take his job too if they offered it to me.
Look, he made the comment that Conor McGregor will not be fighting this year.
January 1st,
that means he will be fighting at some point next year.
January 1st, 2021. Write it down.
If they get COVID under control. There's a vaccine, whatever that is, right?
Yeah.
I mean, I think that, look, the UFC does not want to put him at the UFC Apex. They want to put him in a big stadium where they can collect tons of cash and be able to, sell tickets on this. And they will, and they'll sell out a giant arena for it. And it's because they also need to pay Conor McGregor. He comes with a hefty price tag. So, and I'm sure he gets some of that gate. So, I mean,
Wembley, everybody, Wembley.
Yeah, I see that coming, O2 or whatever in London.
O2.
Yeah. I mean, look, I think he's big enough that you might be able to put him in a Texas stadium or something, something of that along that lines.
Sorry.
It's untied.
I'll repeat. I'll just cut. You might be able to put him in a Texas stadium or something like a big arena like that. To be able and fill it up, right? So I mean we'll see. Other than that, I mean, is there anything else MMA UFC related that you want to discuss?
2 things actually.
Yeah.
One is a complete guess. So not my boy, not really your boy either, but we're gonna say your boy, Stipe Miocic. Talking about the UFC Apex and the smaller ring, which I'm of the opinion that should be the standard ring forever.
Mm-hmm.
Like that thing is awesome. Make it smaller. There's more action. There's less dancing. Yep. It's fantastic. UFC, I don't know what you're doing, but that should be the standard period. And if you did that, by the way, you could put in more seats because the ring's smaller. You make more money on the gate. So, it's a double win here.
I'm a big fan of the smaller octagon. You're right. There's no place to hide, especially with two large men like that. It even pushes the action more, but it favors, if you have to really think about it, it favors Cormier versus Stipe,
Oh, absolutely.
right? Stipe can't dance around and run, and he doesn't want to grapple with Cormier. And Cormier's like, you know what? I want that closeness. I want to be inside. So it definitely plays to his advantage. But you know what? At the end of the day, it's a fucking octagon with fucking, chain link fence on it.
Yeah.
Go out there and just fight. If you're a fighter, you're going to fight under whatever conditions. If they said you're going to fight on the, the corner of Sepulveda and whatever,
Ventura.
That's where you're going to fight. Ventura.
Pretty major streets people know.
Yeah. If you're going to fight on the 405,
the 405
that's where you're going to fight.
Interchange. They'll make more traffic than there is on a daily basis.
You're going to pay me for what I usually get paid. I'm fighting wherever you tell me, and I'm not going to throw any shade to it. So, Stipe, shut the fuck up and just fight. Fight the man and see if you can hold on to that belt. If you can't, you're going to retire either way. So what the hell do you care?
Yeah, and then second thing is your boy, Uncle Dana, talking about that there will be other fights at the Apex, not the Apex, sorry, at Fight Island, which we know that you and I have issues with the name Fight Island based on what we've seen so far. But he didn't announce what they were. So the question is, who do you think he's talking about? Because he said it'll be huge fights.
I'm thinking that there's going to be quick turnarounds on some guys that weren't medically suspended, that are able to turn around like a Masvidal quickly.
Usman.
I think that's what you're going to see, because that's what you can get when you fight internationally. You can bend, I can say bend, but you can. There are rules that don't apply internationally that apply in the U.S. Yeah. So, and then especially in where that was this United Emirates, right? I mean, look,
UAE or Dubai or wherever it is, I'm not sure.
Yeah, I mean, look, there are certain things.
Same shit.
Qatar. Look, I mean, the government supports this sport. They appreciate and want to draw people. I mean, you couldn't miss an advertisement to visit Dubai, right? Or everywhere, right? Like live whatever it was. All of these different. I mean, look, that's what they look at, and they got oil money for days. Like,
yeah.
I mean, I think that's what you're going to see. You're going to see a lot of quick turnaround fights. You're going to see guys that couldn't, from other countries that can't enter the U.S., but they can enter into Fight Island. Look, Fight Island is just a stupid marketing ploy that doesn't live up to its expectations. UFC marketing needs to figure the hell out what Fight Island looks like. They had palm trees on the signage. I mean, they were trying to sell it like it was some kind of like Tahiti or Bahamas, right? I think the way they sold it was awesome. It was going to be like the Bahamas, right? It was going to be a Jean-Claude Van Damme movie, and they were going to be fighting in, on the sand.
Bloodsport?
No, they just wanted it to be elaborate, right? They wanted to make it sound like it was going to be something, and ended up being just.
That's what it was.
Yeah, I mean, they just ended up just fighting in a regular arena.
Yeah.
Same old. It was just a way for them to, like I said, usurp the U.S. Laws and regulations, and then move on. So Fight Island to me is it's fake news, Dana. It's fake news. And UFC marketing needs to get more involved in how they frame this thing, because they're selling, this really cool thing that's really not that cool.
Yeah, look, it's on Yaz Island. I'll give them that. It is on an island, technically. I think it's a man-made island, but whatever. But what they could have done with where they put the Octagon, I think was a miss. I also think, and I understand why they have to do this, because the UFC, like almost every other sport, is still a TV show. The time that they're making the fighters fight locally, meaning at Fight Island, is ridiculous. They're fighting at like 2, 3, 4 a.m. I mean, they were talking on one broadcast, don't remember which one it was, that the main card was going to start as the sun was coming up, or the sun was going to come up in like the 3rd or 4th round. It's like, whoa, wait a second. That means that fight started at, I don't know what time the sun comes up there. I'm guessing 6 a.m. Nice round number. Why not? That means that fight started at like 5:30 in the morning, which means they got up at midnight, which means they got to the arena at 2:30. Come on.
I mean, athletes adjust, right? They get there 2+ weeks ahead of time, and they change their body cycle to get used to the timing. But you know what? You have control of everything. The reporters that are there, you have control over them.
Yeah.
Look, the UFC controls their journalists that sit there, like, you know, John Morgan and all those knuckleheads. Like, look, they try to control what they write. They you know, they don't necessarily say you are going to write about this, but look, let's make it perfectly clear. The media that that supports and covers the UFC is in the UFC's pocket. There's no bones about it. I'd love to look. Anyone want to challenge me on that? Come right here and tell me differently, because I know the facts. I know the truth.
What do you mean? If they don't write what they like, they get banned? Oh, I said
yeah, duh, right? Exactly, John Morgan, with your blue T-shirt or blue polo shirt next to the Octagon, so your kids can see you. I know all of it, okay? And I'm not scared to spill that tea. But anyway, so what I'm saying is, look, you have control over those guys. Oh yeah, I got a little bit Andy Cohen in me too today. I'm feeling rambunctious.
You know who I'm missing, and this is a reference just for him, by the way, DJ, because nobody else. I miss seeing the beard at UFC fights. That's a reference from a previous job of both of ours, of a guy we knew who used to be at nearly every UFC fight. Now, obviously, no longer is. So,
yeah,
I used to every fight back there he is. I see him. I know that guy. I'll make him shit tomorrow.
Yeah, I mean, look, I mean, at the end of the day, like I said, they control the media. They can tell these guys, look, you're going to hold your story until 7:00 at night, whatever that is. But you tell them the cost of doing business, the cost of you coming here, us paying for you to be here, whatever that agreement is we are under embargo until X time, because the fights will not air. And you know what? Look, are things going to leak? Are fight camps going to leak? Hey, our guy won. Maybe it happens. But you know what? I think that those are the things that you need to do.
Yeah.
And then do it like you would normally. But you know what? It's a difficult decision to make. At the end of the day, like I said, the fighters have to adjust. I haven't really heard any fighters complain, so it must be okay. I think it's more the journalists complaining, because they have to roll their fat asses out of bed and go cover a fight at 4 a.m, right? I mean, that's the case. I mean, that's what's going on.
But you mentioned the whole, holding off on a story. I don't see that being such a problem in the UFC anymore, given that the fights are almost all live. I do see that being a problem for the shirt you're wearing, though, because they tape delay the shit out of nearly everything.
Yeah.
So it's like,
the difference is, I'll tell you right now, half the media doesn't care about the Bellator fights.
Well, that's what I was going to say, is the media,
that was the problem.
A whole larger level, doesn't care about Bellator as much as they do the UFC.
Yeah, I mean, look, Bellator kickboxing. I was at the very first event in Italy, right? We had a couple really well-known kickboxers fighting. It was tape delayed on, I think it was still Spike at the time. No one really cared, right? But at the end of the day, the way we felt about it as a Bellator organization was, people just want to watch fights.
Yeah.
Look, they're watching fights from 30 years ago. I mean, they're watching fights from last week. It doesn't matter. They just want to watch fights. And, I mean, I don't know about you, but I can watch a fight knowing the outcome. It doesn't matter to me, because I just want to see a fight. I love watching fights.
I've gone back, as you know, and watched nearly every old UFC event that I've already seen. We're talking like UFC 1 through, I don't know, what am I up to, like 15?
Yeah. It's my pleasure to watch those fights again.
I love those fights. First of all, there will never be a more grueling UFC event than there were for the first, I don't know, we'll say 10. It's a nice round number. I don't remember off the top of my head. Where those guys had to fight multiple times in one night in order to be crowned the grand champion or whatever the hell it was.
Yeah.
So anybody who's like, well, the best heavyweight ever is this, it's like, no, stop. Go back and watch UFC like 1 through 9 or 10 or 12. It's like those guys fought like 4 times in a night, which will never happen again.
But like I said, I think that it's difficult to make that decision. I don't necessarily agree with the UFC's decision to make their fighters fight in odd times.
Yeah.
But you know what? Like I said, the fighters haven't really complained in bulk. I don't think they really care. They just want to fight. And, you know, it works both. I think it works both ways. You can do it this way, or you can delay it like Bellator does. Either way, it works. But let's move on. You know, let's talk about MLB.
Wait, one last quick point about UFC.
Yeah.
What I do like about Fight Island, because you mentioned the whole you're seeing different fighters, is you're seeing a lot of Russian and fighters from, you know, the East, like Ukraine, Kazakhstan. I'm butchering these names, so forgive me. You know, Saudi Arabia, Iran, wherever that area. And it's nice because you normally wouldn't see many of those, you know, less known fighters come to the States, either because they can't get in, it's too far to travel, or who knows what, or, you know, they're the rules of the Nevada State Athletic Commission or Florida, wherever the hell they're fighting, won't allow them in due to whatever drugs Nevada doesn't allow that maybe Dubai, Qatar, UAE, wherever they are, does. So I find that interesting too. I just am fascinated by it. It's like, oh, well, I've never heard of this fighter, but I'll give him or her a watch. Let's see what they got.
Yeah. You are seeing a lot more fighters these days, and you know, I appreciate the deep roster the UFC has.